So it's that time of the year again where I go through my top 20 favorite street photos. Now this whole month has been super busy. Busy at work, families come down for Christmas, and on top of all that, I've been sick. I don't know if you could hear my voice, but it's a bit croaky. So I haven't actually gone out and shot any photos, done any videos, done anything like that. And I'm lucky enough to be able to squeeze this in because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. Now these photos are top 20 in my eyes. They're my personal favorites. There's probably a lot of photos arguably better, and some of them do work better in a sequence. And speaking of sequences, I did make a book for this year, and we'll talk about that a little later. There is a particular order that I'm going to show you these photos in, and it's literally from the date it was captured. So first photo was early this year, last photo is the latest this year, basically. All right, let's go on to the first one. So this first photo here, arguably probably isn't street photography. I don't know. It's taken from the street, if that makes it any better. But I see people having these arguments all the time. I feel like it's captured a street moment, if anything. Anyway, there's not really much else that I could explain why I like it other than aesthetics. I just like how balanced it kind of is. I like how one person is crouching down, one person is standing up. And the colors. The colors is the big part about this, mostly because this is where I dialed in the Demagic preset, which if you want presets, links down below. And it's the preset I've been using like this whole year, and I just love this preset. I used it over Christmas when I was shooting like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with a flash, and this preset just works. It gives me that filmic sort of feel that I really like, but it also feels digital at the same time, if that makes any sense, because of the coloring. This one here, now we're getting more complicated. I wish I did have the 28mm at this stage, but this was shot on the 50mm, could have been shot on the 35. The reason why I like this shot is that there's an obvious scene or obvious story going on here. All the family members packing up, finishing their holiday or whatever, probably had a whole day at the beach, packing up the car, and the only subject you see which is looking at the camera, the only face you actually see is this kid here, which is doing nothing, where everyone else is doing something. Other things is the layering happening here. There's just so many things happening, and they're all kind of spread out, and I kind of really like that, where the person doing nothing is almost smack bang in the middle. Also, color-wise, the red accents that are all around the image kind of ties it all nicely together. So this is why I chose this photo to be in my top 20. I really, really like this photo. At least I could talk about it. A lot of other photos, I'm not gonna have that much in-depth. Some of them are just gonna be, I like how it looks. That's how simple it is. This is kind of one of those I like how it looks photos. I just think it's kind of funny. She's kissing her ice cream. She's very close. I like the framing of it. There are people in the van, which they were looking out prior to me shooting this photo. And I feel like that would have brought in so much more layers in this shot, which is kind of why it was hard for me to put this in, because I like it, but there's not much reason for me to like it. This is heavily cropped too, I do want to say, because this girl, she's Asian, just like me. She was quite short, so she was like in the bottom of the frame, and I was like, oh shit. I didn't realize because I was kind of like waiting for her to come into the frame, and I miscalculated her height. But if these people in the back in the van were sticking their heads out so their faces were lit up, I think this would have been a really good photo. However, I didn't quite hit the nail on the head. I still like the photo though, hence why it's in my top 20. This one here, it's kind of just like a bit of irony. It's kind of like place hands here and there's feet going into that frame. So yeah, I like the framing of this, I like the composition of this. I like the juxtaposition of, you know, place hands here and then there's feet. That's quite simple. This one here, I like the layering of it, and most importantly, I like the coloring of it. Lots of red happening. There are a few things that I wish could have changed about it. Like for example, I wish maybe I shot further up, so the kid was more in line with the, whatever this is she's holding, so it kind of has a more of a sweeping effect. But in saying that, it still works okay with this image, and this is one of those ones where I kind of caught off the whim. I literally turned around, seen that, took the photo, and later in post I was like, oh shit, I really like that shot. This one, pretty damn simple. I thought it was kind of funny. Who uses one of those head scratches in public like that? It was kind of random. Also like the colors here. There's quite a bit of blue happening, and then the sunlight giving that orange sort of vibe. So it's kind of like a teal and orange sort of thing happening. But mostly it's the main subject right here, scratching her head with this head scratcher thingy. Also her hair being discolored and kind of thin, kind of looks like it gives a story that she's been doing that for a long time and it's not very good for her hair. I can't judge though. I got fuck all hair myself. This one was kind of a funny one. It's on social media, it didn't work. No one really cared about it, but I really, really like this photo. And it's hard for me to explain why I like it. Firstly, we'll start with the composition. I just kind of like how I've off-centered, used him in that third. He's peeking around and we can't see who he's peeking at. His dad's over here on the other side of the frame. He's peeking out that way, and I thought it was kind of a cute moment where he's hiding from his dad. Other thing is, I like the coloring on this. This is when I use Demagic again. I really like the coloring of this shot, and it gives me a more nostalgic vibe. But yeah, there's not really much I could explain about it, but I really like this shot, but it wasn't received really well. Who knows, man? I don't understand any of this. Every time I post something that I really like on Instagram or anywhere else really, they just don't seem to go that well, and it's just funny. So, but I try not to let that bring me down, because I like the shot. I took the shot. That's all that fucking matters. So I've had to switch mics because the other mic just died, so I don't know where I was up to here. Anyway, I like this shot because everyone is like silhouetted wearing dark clothing, apart from a couple people, but you can't really see it. And then there's this little girl with her balloon dragging on the ground. She's wearing white. She's an obvious subject in this photo, and her being in solitude with her little balloon, wearing white, while everyone else is crowded together in the darkness, wearing dark clothing. Yeah, just one of those photos. It's aesthetically pleasing to me. Next one, I kind of like the story of this. This kind of worked better in a sequence. I did have one page is people having ice cream, and then the next page is him looking towards them with the ice cream. Now, captured this shot because I don't know what he was doing with his tongue. He was doing that bullshit. I don't know what's happening. This kid had this pallet thing, or this bread crate, I guess it is. I think it's one that we put bread on. I wish he was just a little bit more to the left, a little bit, the kid. The colors worked out really well. There's blue there. There's blue in the back, blue. The kid's holding this blue friggin' bread thingy, and the old bloke is wearing blue. He's got blue stripes on his shirt. Plus he's doing this weird tongue thing. Plus this kid, you're like, what is he doing? I don't, like, he just, yeah. It's just so many questions, so many stories in the shot. That's why it's in my top 20, I really like it. This one, quite simple. Didn't really work in color, but when I put it in black and white, really liked how this one turned out. This chick there doing their stuff in the shop, I did do a bit of masking there to make her more darker, to stand out in the shot. But I just kind of like how minimalistic and how many questions it brings up, like what are we looking at, sort of thing. And if we go back to this image, it was actually that lady there on the left and her gazebo here on the right. That's what we're seeing. The thing she's got there, she's holding in her hand, is actually the cover that goes on the back, which is how this is shot through that cover. So that's the story behind that one. This one here, I love the layering going on here. There's a lot of stuff happening, but the main subject here, mouth open, mum's holding the food. It's just kind of random, and this has been definitely my favorite this whole year. A lot of times when I do have favorites, over time I don't like them as much, but this one I've liked it ever since I took this photo. It's gonna stand the test of time. I really wish though that I was a little bit closer. I was shooting a bit wider. I think I was shooting 50mm this day. However, these are the only people in this like general vicinity. So it would have been, I would have definitely ruined the moment and the authenticness of this scene if I did move closer. So I decided to just stand back and shoot it this way. It still turned out fine. Love the colors on it. This is like one of my favorite times of day to shoot. I don't know, the colors are just really cool. Which is Blue Hour. She's like a little bird, a little chick, and that's Mama Bird dropping food in her mouth, so she's just waiting for it to happen. So I think it's kind of a funny shot. This is the first film one here. I don't know, I don't really know how to explain why I like this. Basically, the most part, I like the colors of it because it's film, but the other is the framing, where this guy's hand, this guy being Mark, photographer friend, he swung it out and it's kind of framed it quite nicely here. Everyone's kind of got their space in the shot. There's not much layering happening. I wish I did tilt the camera down a little bit. I did kind of shoot like this, like I kind of swept under and shot it. I kind of wish I tilted it down just a slight bit so the little girl at the bottom was a bit more visible because she made a face too. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, just kind of like the general vibe of this shot. So as I said, there's gonna be a lot of that. I just like it. I don't know how to explain it, I just like it. This one here, same sort of thing. Kid with something in mouth, walking around. Another film shot. I think I might have an attachment to these because they were my first film shots that were like street photography related. So that might wear off in time, but I still really like this shot. I think I will go get the negatives rescanned because as you can see, the quality isn't that good. And that's because it was done by Camera House. The quality just isn't good there. The last time I went out and shot film, I used Pura Film Labs and the scans came back fantastic. So I think I might send that film away for them to rescan so I can get better copies of this. But for now, this is what we have. This one, okay, this one I can talk about a little bit. Mostly it's layering and spacing of people. So if you could see, everyone's on like a different plane. So we've got this kid here, and then further back, there's a kid on the left, and then back to the right, there's a guy there, and then back to the left, there's another person or a couple people there, and then back to the right, there's another person over there, and back to the right, there's another person there. So the way the spacing is, it's kind of like bang, 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 bang. That's kind of why I really like this. I like how most people in this shot, 90% of people in the shot are spaced out. So they have their breathing space in the frame itself. And then obviously to complement the cherry on top, otherwise known as the seagull on top, yeah, that kind of topped it off. I wish he was more dead in the middle, but you can't get everything perfect. I didn't even realize he was flying through the frame. I just kind of like how this scene looked down the bottom, and here he is there. Also, I kind of cut it in half where there's a lot more negative space at the top. I think that looks a little bit better. This one, I kind of just like how I shot this guy through a bag handle, and there's like a lot of foreground here of a person that I was really close to, obviously, sitting on a chair, taking a photo. Really not much to talk about to this one. I just like the layering of this, and I like how I've shot him through this bag handle. It's really not much to talk about. This one's pretty simple. You can kind of see what I liked about this, and it looks like the seagull's about to pick this guy off the ground and fly away with him. So, pretty self-explanatory. That's why I like this shot. Like the colors of it too, but I'll probably like the colors of all the photos that I've taken since I've edited them. This one's pretty simple. I kind of like all this negative space up here, which leaves you questioning what it is. If you don't really look at it close enough, you don't realize it's like a banner hanging off a railing, but it's kind of confusing at first, which is what I like. And then a clear subject down here. I just realized there's a bird down there too. But yeah, clear subject down here. He was wearing a nice lighter colored shirt. Therefore, he stood out a lot. Lots of nice little bits of framing going on in this shot. Hence why I like this photo. This one here gives you lots of questions. I like how it's kind of random, just a bunch of mannequins walking. If you didn't know that the markets were on there, you would probably question what they're doing with these mannequins just randomly. So just the overall vision of seeing a bunch of body parts flying around is what drove me to take this photo, and it is one of my favorite photos of the year for sure. This one's pretty simple. It's the colors. I know I've said that a million times, but very strong colors happening in this one. So we have lots of red on the top of these little bollards. We have red up the top there, red just in the corner there, red on the bin, and then we have this light blue turquoise. I don't know if Tiffany blue, I don't really know what it is. Teal even. And so we have teal kind of everywhere, you can kind of see it, and then a bit of just normal looking ass blue. Yeah, I wish this was framed a little bit better. And being that this is one of the latest photos I've taken, this could change over time. This could change down like a couple months down the line where I'm like, oh, I don't really like it. So far, I still love this shot. The reflection too, that was kind of the main point of the shot, was the reflection, but then old mate came along with his bin and I was like, okay, this is gonna be subject driven rather than just a random mundane shot. So yeah, shout out to this guy for bringing the bin with him. And lastly, it's this shot. I just like the composition of this, the framing, just the random sign here, temporarily out of order, has you questioning what's out of order. If you didn't know what this was, it's a bin. They like glad wrapped it and made it out of order. I think it was schoolies week, so the bins were overflowing and they just blocked them all off and then put bigger bins out for people to throw rubbish in. In saying that, you probably wouldn't even know what this is without context. And then we have our subject here, which is kind of abstract in the frame. So we're a strong subject. We have this thing over this side. And I converted it to black and white because I thought it looked a little better in black and white. It looked all right in color, but black and white certainly worked way better with this photo. Now the book that I was talking about is this one here. It's just my 2024 recap book. It has all of the top 20 in this book, plus a lot more. I think there's like 68 photos in here or something. So it's photos that didn't quite make the cut, but works really well in a sequence. And I made one last year for 2023 as well, but I never really pushed it because it was more of a record keeping for me, where I put my favorite photos in one book. So later in time, I can flip through this rather than go through digital files to find the photos that I like. So this was more of a me thing, but I did make it available on my website. If you want to go check it out down below, I did make it available there. Presets are there as well if you want to check those out. Yep, this is not like a sales pitch. This is just if you want another book on your coffee table, or you're interested in seeing some of these photos in a sequence, then you can buy that if you want. Basically, I just bought this. I just made this for myself. So if you want a copy too, go have a look. I'm not going to sign it or anything. This is made with gelato, so it's a bit more of like a drop shipping thing. I'm happy with the quality of their books. Their prints and frames, however, kind of on and off. But yeah, that's that. So this is the last video of 2024 from me. We'll see you in the New Year's. And if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you had a holiday, but don't celebrate Christmas, hope you had a happy holiday. Hope you've had a good year. And I guess we'll see you next year. Go out there and take some shit photos, because you won't take any good photos if you don't take any shit photos. That's it from me. See you later.